Check one, two, check, check, check. Can you hear me out there? Can you hear me? I hope so. Hello, gatekeepers. Yes, the creepy dudes. I often wonder, you look at some of those old black and white um, cuts there, old movies. I don't even know what half of them are from, old horror movies or just old funnies or whatever it is. And so creepy. And I don't know whether it's just the makeup or I got a candle going nuts. The where the black and white makes it creepier or whatever. But that last one where they're at that burlesque and the guys are just kind of getting, they're like, it's crazy. But I'll tell you what, we've done this on the show many a time and said that, you go back in time and they were just like us. So we had creeps now, we had creeps then, and, ghosts and ghoulies and liars and shitty politicians, and nothing's changed. How y'all doing? Welcome in. Oh, Scott's Life, look at this, starting the night out. Look at you, honey. Thank you so much. I hope, did you get your book? So listen, when we see Vixen, we have to remind me that Lynn needs her email to pick her book, because she was here the night that Lynn was here and she gave out the books. So it's always fun when Lynn comes in and does stuff like that. And thank you so much, Scott, starting the night out. I appreciate you very much, honey. And get over there and subscribe to Scott's channel. And we have Jim's channel and Kat's channel and Ghost Lore. We've got so many channels here. Susan Woodcarver, hadn't seen her in a while, but get over there and promote artists, all that stuff. Please do. Please put your link here and, go over there and subscribe to these YouTube channels, because again, it doesn't cost a dime. You don't have to be a member. Just get in there and subscribe. And, when their video comes up, give them a like, try to watch it, try to sit through a couple commercials, because that's what helps them out if they're monetized. It stinks that we always have to watch these commercials, but sometimes I'll put it up for somebody and just let it run, because I know that's the only way they get anything. And it's such a minuscule little whatever. Sarah, good to see you, honey. Good to see you, Jack and Ted and Renice out there. And I saw Lindsay and Jack, and I saw Glenn, and Nightmare was here, I believe, like first in before the show even started. And of course, Scott, it's wonderful to see you. And I don't know if I saw Brian in here earlier. That was because I was talking to him. I'm not sure. But if I missed somebody, I'll try to get you throughout the show. So anyway, lots going on in the world. So this is my vote. Let's shake, wherever we are, driving in the car. Weird color tonight. What's going on? Probably this candle. So, there's a lot going on. So here's the thing. Talk to a bunch of people on the phone. Again, it's good to reach out and back and forth to like-mindeds, because you want that, just like in paranormal, you want to validate a couple things you're thinking and feeling. You're like, yeah, okay. It's just stand in the light, keep your lights on. I mean, conversations that I'm having with people, that's the thing. It's like, this is what we're here for. Keep your lights on. If you just, we were talking about with one convo, and I won't tell you who, but very sweet person, very, very dear to me. And we were talking about The Odd Couple, and I said, if you remember the show, it was The Odd Couple. It was Jack Klugman and Tony Randall. And I used to watch all the time because it came out of Chicago and New York, and all the channels that we got when I was a kid, wherever I was, really. And it was so funny how they would both look so opposite from totally different vantage points, two totally different personalities at the same situation, where Oscar was, of course, a mess, and Felix was, far into way past OCDs as far as cleanliness and everything else. And he was just a hypochondriac on top of it, and the anxiety, but he was so just opposites. So there's this one episode I remember where New York had a big blackout. Now, this is the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. Lots of blackouts. I remember as a kid. It's a big deal because, crime goes up, this goes up. It's, food goes bad, people go bad, the whole shebang. It's a big deal. And the heat, and it's always in the summer, and it's just miserable. And what people did to get through them, and in a lot of cases, I always thought it was funny because it seemed like neighbors got to know each other because everybody be sitting on the stoop trying to get through all the hot nights and stuff, and watching out for each other, and got to know each other a little better. People in a crisis sometimes get to know each other a little better. At least you get to see who people really are. So think about that, right? And you get a little tighter with the ones that, hey, that's a good idea. How about this? I got this idea too. You know what I mean? The camaraderie when stuff gets screws get tightened up. So anyhow, um, Oscar and Felix. So I was kind of looking at the whole situation sort of like that. We all have a little bit of both in, some of us a little more Oscar, some are a little more Felix, some are a combination of both. Some are just flat out Murray's. If you remember Murray, he was the, he was, just understand what I'm saying. Whatever visual you need to look at to understand the fact that you do what you got to do. The energy is crazy. Consciousness is changing, and you're riding that wave. This is what we're here to do. So tap into that energy and use it wisely. You might say, okay, I'm having a wild day. I'm not going to go here or do this because I know it's going to drain me. I'm going to do this because it's going to spend my time wisely, as far as I'm going to feel better coming out the other end of it. And I'm going to benefit from it, from that energy, because I can't help the people I love, can't help the people I care about if I don't take care of me. Hey, Michael, welcome to see you. In search of, yes. Hi, darling. Good to see you, Michael. Michael Lachian, everybody. We got to get you on the show. You got to just throw me some dates. You know when I'm on, Sunday or Monday. Come on, me and Steve. You come on, just me. Come on, just you and Steve. Whatever you want to do, any combo you want. Just throw me a date, and you're here. Okay. And if it's the last Sunday in the month, Mike, you'll be on with Lynn. So pick a day. It's yours. Open door. You know that. He's so busy. He's like who was the guy? Back when the Sunday morning shows had some substance, like when somebody said 60 minutes, you went, ooh, what was this Sunday morning? I think it was not Charles Kuralt. Was he the one that went around globetrotting and talking about all the little hometown places he found in the history, and told about the jelly that the corner store made since like 18 whatever? It's just so interesting, and we don't have that kind of classy stuff on mainstream media, but we certainly have it in the paranormal. And Michael Achana is about the closest thing. Was it Charles Kuralt? Mike Wallace. Was he another one that went around? Was that the one I'm thinking of? Not Charles Kuralt. He's a real nice guy. He'd have to be, one Sunday morning, be having breakfast at the quaint little, it was such an interesting life. I know we lost him. How you doing, Ian? Good to see you. So anyway, to sum it all up, get closer to your neighbors or get further away. Your mileage may vary. And Michael Aciana, terrific. Send me a date. Vixen, get your email. Is Vixen okay? I haven't seen Vixen last couple of days. Anyway, get your email to Lynn. She needs to send you a book. Scott, I think you got yours. Is it Charles Kuralt? See, that's going to bug me all night. I don't think that's the name I'm looking for. Can you toss some more names at me? Anybody else do that? Who was the globetrotting dude with the sun? Remember the sun would come up and he was like CBS morning, whatever. Was that him? Was that I'm thinking of? I think so. Are you sending me names? I'm not getting any names. Send me the name. Tell me who I'm talking about, because I don't know. Sounds like a song. All right. So I think that fixes that. Thumbs up, please. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you again for the comments. Had some lovely, lovely comments. One just hit me just wonderful because I should pull it up and read it to you because it's just jazzy. So that, and the week, ick. Can I do what can I do? Can I change it? No, I can stand here and keep the lights on because eventually all the trouble's going to come to me anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's like the people are going to come and ask questions, or something I'm going to have to deal with, something I needed, the price is going to go up, or we all do it. We all focus on the closest little wildfires, and you can either or you can like boop 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 pow. You know, it's up to you. Tap dance or get drugged behind whatever train is going to hit you. You know what I mean? And we're all here together, so it's a good time as ever to tap in and get that light from each other, right? So I don't know what you're doing. Are you Felix or an Oscar? When all the lights went out on Felix and Oscar, Oscar lost his mind. I think he lost his transcript or whatever, his story. He was a sports writer, I believe. And he lost it and left. And Felix is looking around, and of course he's got anxiety, and his stuff is bothering him because it's hot, and he just does the best he can. He goes in the kitchen and he flings open the refrigerator, knowing all the meat's gonna defrost. Of course, that's like a panic. And then he goes, this is a perfect opportunity to clean the kitchen and defrost the freezer. And he just dives into that torpedo. You know what I mean? And winds up with a clean house. And the next time, when Oscar gets there with whatever his issue is, the house is all clean. There's probably a casserole or roast in the oven. And, the blackout is over and they made it through somehow, together, but separate. So, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to do your own thing to get through, and you got to let other people do theirs. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to tap in to some older stuff, because how much do I love Sightings? We've all talked about it, Unsolved Mysteries, all the older shows, and I'll tell you why this kicked on me this week. So I'm doing kind of a combination between Oscar and Felix. I'm cleaning the house and scrubbing and salting walls and blessing things and putting, sealing down the household, so to speak. Got the sage and the candles going, the whole shebang. Just aired everything out. And afterwards, I started looking into some things, that I had saved in my backlog to bring to you guys. And different subjects, different things, crop circles, the Enfield ghost hunting, more gangsters, and old Universal monsters, specific things, cursed movies, cursed objects, the list goes on and on. And I was looking through, stumbled on a new channel. Somebody's putting up some old, not old, but not so new, probably some of the latest paranormal shows that have come out in the past like 5-6 years, maybe. So it's a list of those things, and one just kind of rolled on, my YouTube. It was in the next play or whatever, and I started watching. I'm like, okay, let's see how this format is. Again, I'm not picking. I'm just stating facts here. Because you either dig the format or you don't. How are they handling the story? It's never. The problem is usually never the witness or the person telling the story. The problem is usually, or the good part is usually how it's produced and how they present the stories, how they reenact them. What are they focusing on? What are they showing you? How close is what they're showing you to what you're hearing the person say? You picking up what I'm putting down here? And that can be a pet peeve. That can be an irritation. It can be fantastic if it's done right. And you guys, and we've been here a lot talking about stuff like this, and I've mentioned shows in Canada, some of them done so well, UK, all around. Everybody has a different style. Some of the wonderful Britain ones with the famous British castles, and they have a certain narrator, and they did them in quads, so it's like a mini series or something. They'd go all around. Those were fantastic. And, you'd see the inside, you'd get a tour, you'd get a history lesson, you'd get reenactments, you'd get accuracy, it seemed. In a lot of these shows, it was very important to be accurate, to not overstep. Sightings, they'd do a lot of that depending on what it was, and so did, like, even In Search Of with good old Leonard Nimoy, right? That being said, one of the ones we absolutely love, that we found in Australia, is The Extraordinary. And that popped up after this other one popped up. So I'm watching this show, and I don't want to point it out too much, but it was one of those like Paranormal 911 or Something in the Woods, or what was another one? It was recent, Haunted Hospitals, those kind of shows. So recent, but not brand new. And I'm watching this stuff, and I'm into the story from the witness, from the experiencer, and I'm trying to move past the fact that the camera guy is, I don't know what this is, this new art thing where they get up and they just show like one eye, or the nose of the person while they're talking, just trying to look past that. And you're watching this show, and again, they're so over dramatized. It has absolutely nothing to do with, oh, Fisher's Ghost. Yeah. So good. So good. Had really nothing to do really with what the person is saying. And it got really weird because I watched about maybe 5 different witness stories in this grouping, and almost every single one of them heard their name called. Now, be honest, how often do you think that really happens? I'm not saying it doesn't, because for sure does. I've had it happen, but all of the stories, I heard my name. One right after the other after the other. I find that just a little bit, really. So again, it's not the witness's fault. And, Steve and I brought this up, as well as many other people. I've had Jack Kenna on here who does a lot of those, and Bill Bean, and he's done several of them, here's the part that you can't really step up. You kind of know they're over dramatizing it, but how much does it really take away? And I think they're spending some, in my opinion, are spending a lot of time on that and missing the depth of the story, or maybe the backstory. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I'm picking up. I don't know. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about that? Excellent show. Which one is, honey? I remember Fisher's Ghost. Yeah, in on The Extraordinary, Sarah. Fisher's Ghost. I know I've seen a couple of good reenactments of that. Fisher's Ghost. That's a great story. I don't know if I have it. I don't think I have it tonight, but I know I've showed it on this show before because Steve and I were talking about it. That's what I'm talking about, Michael. These shows are not about true, serious evidence. Right. And, and it's a shame because the witness goes through so much. Again, witness, call them what you want. The person telling the story. And I know several, and I know Mike knows them. And I know you guys probably know people that have been on the shows, and why people like us go, how you going to know? Show me how you're going to do it. But you never know, because it's usually a new show coming out that is, change the formula a titch, change the name, and come out with like a different angle. Like now we're not, in the city, paranormal in the city. Now we're paranormal in the woods, paranormal in the rural paranormal, whatever. You get the drift, paranormal underwater, whatever it is. Do they have that yet? Because if not, they should. Somebody write that down. That could be something. Paranormal underwater. Hey, don't knock it. You can probably sell you at least get 6 episodes out of it, and throw it in a group, and they'll take it with something else and nobody will know. What do you tell me, Sarah? Another good show that's creepy is Scream Test Australia. I've never seen that one, Sarah. I've never seen that one. I'll have to look it up. Okay, so I'm watching this thing. I'm going to get this out, I promise. So here's now, I don't know, but honest to gosh, it seems to me I didn't even look if the same person produced it, the same company put it out, the same group did it, because it's all just a little titchy different, but not much. All of these different ones, haunted hospitals, haunted paranormal 911. What was the other one? I can't remember it. Had a catchy little something or other. Not Paranormal Survivor, much newer than that. But they don't really get a say on how it's portrayed. And they don't really, and I wonder how much the people are asking these questions, the little experts that pop up, and it'll say that. Now, again, they probably didn't choose to have that under their face while they're talking. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying it says author, author, investigator, paranormal expert. Every single one of them. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, Tom, welcome in. Every single one of them. We don't even need to talk on that. We know how we feel about that. And, your mileage may vary. So, and this one woman, bless her heart, she's so matter of fact about it. And this experiencer walks in, he's whatever, haunted camp. I'm the janitor. I think it was night shift. That's what it was a paranormal night shift. I worked the night shift. That's what it was. Every once in a while, a chip will break loose and I'll remember something. So he goes in, whatever. He's mopping up something. Here's his name, because he's one of the ones that they all heard their name. And, goofy things are happening. He's mopping, doing whatever. And the next thing you know, whoosh, something goes by him and he gets real cold and he winds up getting scratched, 3 scratches. And she comes on right about, well, he's having a bad day. So the demons are attracted to that. And this is what it means, because, and she tells the whole thing. It's the Holy Trinity, and it's, right away, it's demons. Before this little 6-minute story was over, this whole place was filled with demons. And they were all there because dude was having a bad day and didn't like his job, and they were attracted to this negativity. And this was a couple of different people. And then they have like some other people on there that really kind of get it right and are saying, well, this and this. But how are they still doing this? Is it not 2024, or how are we going backwards? I feel like, is anybody else just, incensed by this? Is it just me? Why are you still? I felt like Jim Marrs probably felt when Stephen King came out with 11/22/63. It's like, okay, now we're back to, a single shooter. Everybody's just going to remember that because these people are putting out this information. And it's almost like that feeling of I keep putting out the garbage and the garbage men come and take it, but I'm just going to be more garbage tomorrow. So do we stop putting the garbage out? Or no, you don't quit. But how do we put something out there that shows people that, come on, do you not know this by now? That not everything is one thing. Not everything is exact this. There's more to it. And to keep churning out garbage that's giving people wrong information is not a good thing. And I'm sure people aren't setting out to do that. Maybe they really believe that. But if that's the case, then what are we doing wrong? Because again, I've talked to Mike about this and everything else. We got to get back to the basics. That's what he's trying to do, and many other groups out there, and I'm sure you guys are too, whether it's through your talents or your expression or the things that you're drawn to, because I think it has something to do with that consciousness movement. It's just that nonsense is just, it's a difference between hearing a ghost story told by, a master storyteller, like say Dickens or something like the Pickwick Papers or whatever it may be. Put your author here, or listening to a creepypasta just to hear gross stuff. Not that all creepypastas are that, but a lot of them are. And I think it's like the difference between watching, The Ghost of Mrs. Muir or whatever else, a classic movie like that would be compared to something else that's just, skewering on the other side, more like a slasher. There's a difference there. There's a difference between the jump scare and I want to be scared and getting that desensitized. You got to get past that callous desensitivity, because what made us jump yesterday, you know, would have probably killed people. 30 years ago, you still had people passing out, going to see The Exorcist and Psycho. And, of course, it was a buildup to do that. But imagine that psyche, the psyche just of human beings in a short amount of time, where Alfred Hitchcock, people like that played on that. Right? He did that, and he put the propaganda or advertisement, smart advertisement, whatever you want to call it. It worked, and it was smart business for him to do that and hire a nurse and a guy in a white jacket, with the stethoscope and stuff in the lobby right before they played the movie. And they were doing things like that right up into Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby. If I'm not, I don't know what all this is popping up here. I'm sorry. 70s, yeah. I mean, name another one if you know where, they really put that propaganda out there. I think Jaws probably had something similar, not quite as a big a deal, but gosh, it's all showmanship, or, The Big Show, Sucker Born Every Minute, whatever it may be, the Carnival Caller, right? Well, is that not the same as a lot of this paranormal stuff that's coming out, where they just, again, give out this information and say, boom, 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 this is how it is? Well, I hope everybody listening here knows that that's not, because not everything is what they're trying to feed you. It is, believe nothing you see, nothing you're told to see. Believe what you see. Work it through your own filters. Everybody's got to work through their own thing. But again, beware people that tell you it's absolutely like this and it does not move. Listen, I'm extremely, open to, you got to be like a willow, because from new information comes in, it shifts things. And I think and it's coming faster and faster and faster. Does it not feel like, it was kind of a little wavy and it was okay and you were riding them and, there's some big waves, woo, but they were coming in between, you had a little space to think and all that. Now it's just, water's getting choppy, ain't it? It's just all this unbelievable stuff that just keeps coming, You got this, because you learned how to just, sometimes you got to float. We all float down here. Sometimes you got to float above it, stay out of it, go up. I'm not getting involved in that mess. I know what's going to happen here. I'm going to step back here and just let all that, I'm going to handle this. Picking up what I mean? And that's how light workers deal. I mean, I don't know how many times I started to get into a situation, or was being pulled into a situation, or, anything. Could have been phone call, could have been text messaging, it could have been, invited somewhere, wanted to go, big bag, and nope, not doing it. Something feels off. Something feels wrong. I'm not doing it. I got to choose where I put my energy. So be like Felix, either take that energy and that anxiety and ground yourself by doing something positive, and then just reward yourself afterwards. Watch a movie that's uplifting, whatever, keep your brain busy. That's some of these escape rooms, or, whether it's something like that, or a puzzle, or crossword puzzle, for Pete's sake, work it. Chess, play checkers, play Battleship, whatever. But get that out and back off of it, and don't just stop. Kind of ease back off of it. Plant a garden, even start some seeds in the kitchen if you're in an apartment or something like that. Do something with nature. Do a bird feeder. We've got people starting channels here doing nature, just having coffee in the morning. It's fantastic. Everybody gets together, says, good morning, how you doing? Having coffee, get ready to start my commute. Listen to the birds. What kind of bird is that? That's wonderful. Tapping in. And also you're tapping into that good energy, because a lot of people out there are going to be pulling that bad, pulling everything they can. They're going to start getting greedy about your energy, and don't let anybody have that, alive or dead. Cisco said so. All right. So The Extraordinary, this wonderful show. So that paranormal stuff came up, and I started getting the message on these people with, just blatantly blurting out nonsense in some cases. Some very smart, in my opinion, allegedly. So anyway, it made me want to see something nostalgic in the paranormal. So it's not, that far away, 95, but it's back further than we'd like to admit. Those of us that go, wow, was it that long ago? 95? Really? Think about it. It's wild, right? What's up, Ghost Lore? Why are you calling me? Who Jack? I missed it. The weirder the better. Are we okay? Are you calling me out because we have a problem? We having technical issues? Don't call me if we're having technical issues. We're just gonna have to get a hammer and sort that out. All right. Good coffee. This is what I'm saying. Scott knows. Scott's got it. So that's it. Good coffee. I heard a good coffee story the other day. I was my son who was like basically telling me a story about how they were in a situation where it was cold and, hey, you want some coffee? I don't have anything to put in it. And it's like, take a cup of that. Because I told them and they listened. How cool is that? Parents, grandparents, that moment when you realize that they heard you. Because I told just learn to drink your coffee, because I did it in the military. It's like, there's not always going to be sugar and cream, and I've never drank coffee before. So go ahead and give it to me black. And that way I'll get used to drinking it nasty and mean, and it'll warm me up, and I won't ever be disappointed, because I saw people all the time. It's like, oh, I can't drink it if I don't have sugar. I have to have Sancta. I have to have this, or, whatever it is. What was that saccharin? That saccharin they have to put in it, or people in their coffee, man. And I don't know what's wrong with people now with half calf, macchiato, whatever. What is this? What? This is not coffee. I don't know what it is, but it's not coffee. So I don't even want to go there. Your feather is dancing around. Is it? Oh, it is. I'd like to take paranormal credit for that, but it's because it's above a candle. So it's the heat, the heat. But that's okay. I'd rather have it to be that kind of heat than, other kind of heat. So anyhow, right after that, an extraordinary popped up, and this ghost story, which is like based in, it's got a lot of history. It's got a nice tale of the lore in it, and I went, that's better. And it's so cool to know that we can look back and if the world today gets crazy, we can always go back and get a little knowledge from that, a little tap to help keep the lights on. It was funny too, because I got stuck watching a couple of I don't know if you guys remember this, but old Andy Griffith, there was Ernest T. Bass, and I was telling somebody, look, you don't understand. Everything's a weapon. I said, I know of a guy that I used to watch, lived in Mayberry, held off a whole town with a bucket of rocks. Let's just make it a joke. It's a Cisco joke, an acquired taste. So it's like, what? And I'm like, tell him, yeah, this guy is Ernest T. Bass. He lived in Mayberry. And I'm just telling it, it's like nobody's catching on. It took way too long for people to catch on that I was talking about the Andy Griffith show. But, you got to know your room. There was a couple people there that probably should have picked it up that didn't, but for the youngins, I get it. Right. But anyway, hey Vixen, how you doing, sweetie? Listen, contact Lynn. She wants to get you your book. She's got an email. She's not sure, so just email her at that omnipresent on her website so you can get your book. Okay. Thank you, sweetie. Good to see you. Just in time. So this popped up, and in came this wonderful ghost story. So I hope you enjoy it. There's 3 little ones. So for the remainder, I think we'll just go ahead and watch one, and we'll talk a little bit about it, watch another one, and just have a good old time. Do you have your popcorn? Do you have your snacks? Do you have, hey Ted, does Connor have his little cocktail weenies and everybody's good? Do you need an intermission to go to the lobby and get snacks? Are you good? How's everybody doing? Jack's good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. I had to fix my lighting. Why am I so purple? I feel purple. I don't know what's going on. So let's watch this, and I'll see if I can unpurple myself. And where is it? It's this one right here. And I have a bonus at the end if you want to see it. but we're going to enjoy this. And I'm going to do something about this lighting. Okay, here we go. Yeah, baby. Lulabelle! Good to see you, Sarah. Get you some of that on purple. I have to unpurple myself.
The extraordinary.
Late one night on a lonely back road, a couple trapped by floodwaters. Faint, ghostly headlights appear in the distance. The beginning of a frightening experience no one can explain.
If he hadn't turned up at the time, I wouldn't be sitting here. I now believe that it is quite possible that somebody from the other side of life can come to your rescue.
Frank Corbell is now 70 years old, comfortable in his retirement, but he's lived a disciplined and adventurous life. First, as a pilot in the Luftwaffe during World War II. Then, after migrating to Australia in the 1950s, serving his new country in the Vietnam War. Along the way, he met and fell in love with Stella Lord. In 1965, they were married. She was with him on the night of May the 29th, 1974, the night of the flood and the ghostly rescue. Frank was driving Stella to her father's birthday party, a long and treacherous trip. Floodwaters blocked the main highway, so the Corbells took a detour, a very dangerous detour.
I drove down into the water. The water got higher and higher, and the engine cut out. My wife uttered a scream and put her feet up on the dashboard. And my mind was racing, what could I do?
I felt really terrified and just hoping against hope that we would get out of it. But at the time, I don't think I thought there was much chance.
If I had gotten out of the car, I would have had to swim, and I don't think I would have had a chance against the strong current. My wife was inside and she can't swim, so it was a losing situation.
A desperate situation. The car stalled in floodwaters, the water rising. No hope of starting the engine. No hope, it seemed, of rescue.
I think we would have definitely gone down, and I can't swim. And so Frank knew that, and he was frightened, I think, that what would happen.
Then, behind them, a sight they could not believe. Headlights piercing through the mist, a glint of chrome in the moonlight. an eerie vision that began to take shape. The shape of a strange black limousine, edging closer and closer through the floodwaters. A bump, another one. The Corballs feel their car being nudged slowly toward dry land by the silent stranger.
It may have taken a minute or so, but I thought it was an eternity. And slowly we got through the depths of the water and finished up on the other side of the river.
But before the Corballs could thank the limo driver, before they could utter a word, the mysterious saviour disappeared. There was just a glimpse of the driver, middle-aged, wearing a jacket and tie, and...
He looked very, I wouldn't say he looked lifeless, but he didn't show any emotions at all.
Naturally, Frank and Stella were shocked and bewildered. You see, when they inspected the rear of the car, there was nothing, not one extra scratch. No sign that the black limousine had bumped them through the floodwaters.
I think that driver saved our lives. I don't know whether he was meant to do that or whether it was just an accident that he appeared. But without him pushing us out, we would have been swept away. I'm quite sure of that.
The Corballs' problems weren't over. They were wet, cold, and still stranded in the middle of nowhere. Minutes later, though, there was a second coincidence on this deserted bush byway. A second set of headlights appeared through the mist. This time it was a van. No mistake, no apparition.
How are you? Thanks, mate. What's the problem here?
While they worked on the waterlogged car, Frank asked the van driver if he'd seen the black limousine on the road. If there'd been one, the driver must have sighted it. His answer was no. There was no other car on that road at that time, that night. The black limo had vanished into thin air.
Okay, have a nice day. See you later.
Thanks very much indeed.
Not a problem.
For more than 20 years, Frank and Stella Corball have pondered over those frightening hours back in 1974 when they came so close to drowning. All they know is they survived. The question they ask is, were they plunged even deeper into the unknown?
I'm beginning to wonder whether that car and that man who pushed me out were actually real, because it was something which is just not normal. An experience like that is a very strong message to you. And when you sit down years after and think about it, you might think, well, perhaps it was my guardian angel.
Okay, let's talk about it, and then we'll pull this one up. That one reminds me so much of, well, let me correct that. A little bit of the, I'm still purple. This is, it's going to have to be, I guess. I don't know what's going on. It's all around me is purple. And there's nothing purple here. So it's got to be some kind of reflection, you know, something. So anyway, you know, like the story of the car, like if you stop on the bridge, I'm trying to think of the state. I think it's in the Carolinas, but Steve was here. He could tell you where if you stop the car on the railroad track or on the bridge, something will come and push you off or push you to safety. And I always thought it was mean to do that because there's always a story of I always hate it when the dead are exploited. That's already a sour turnoff for me. And people's lines different. I get it, but anyhow, you stop the car, and the kids who got killed by the train because the bus stalled, back in the day, and all these kids died, and then they come and push you off because they don't want it to happen to you, and so you stop the car on the thing to see if they'll do the. See, I was never. Hey, Derek, how you doing, sweetie? I'm just not. That's not my thing. I think it's wrong. You be your judge. Hey, Catherine, welcome in. Welcome in. Um, purple auras. Is that what's going on here? Because I'm telling you, everything is just like it gets stronger, and it goes away and it comes back. And I think it's some kind of light reaction between the candle and the lights I don't know. Some kind of, is what I think it is. It does, doesn't it? Cat, it does look like a purple haze. Well, I'll take purple haze. Maybe it's Jimmy. Maybe Jimmy's coming to listen to some ghost stories with us. So anyway, back to the bridge. So if something happened, and a carload of people or a train went off the tracks, you get the drift. Somebody comes and pushes you, and there's always a tragic story behind it. And there's always somebody's. One of the most intriguing ones I heard, though, maybe you'll get, and I think it was an Unsolved Mysteries. I could be wrong. Could have been like a That's Incredible, or something else. But it was around that era, and it was the one with the kids that something happened to them. A bunch of them died on those railroad tracks or whatever. And if your car stalls or happens to stall there by the railroad tracks, they'll come and push you. And they put baby powder or something all over the back of the car. And there was little handprints. Does anybody remember this? I don't remember where it was, but I think it was in the Carolinas. I think. Oh, wait, because I know there's like a delay. So if anybody's got input on that, because I think this is similar, but it could also be nothing to do with that area, nothing to do with a car once got stuck there and somebody died, and that car forever comes during a flood and pushes cars out of the water. I don't know, but I don't think that was something that was attached to this, like that. What do you guys think? Do you think it was just like a helpful spirit? Because it's very similar when you start bringing in a car, a physical thing, and a spirit guide, an angel, whatever else, a ghost, a phantom, an entity that helps you. Because the guy who showed up in the van didn't see anybody leave. They would have saw the car, right? Of the person leaving that pushed him. So what do you think it was? Purple, green, and pale yellow. I like deep greens and blues. They're the colors I choose. That was a great song. Gosh, James Taylor. Some of those songwriters back in the day, man, take you right back. Gordon Lightfoot was another one. Had some deep lyrics. Usually came from very painful places. And somebody said something one time. It was like, well, it's about love and drugs, and some old guy turned around and go, that's all about love and drugs. Brokenhearted, unrequited love, the greatest operas, the whole thing. Apparently everybody's life sucked. So, we should just all get along, just be nicer to each other, get along, because everybody's got a past that sucked, and some of the best artists and the best painters, the best whatever, and apparently the best ghosts seems to come back with, the trauma and the stories and the history, and connects you into that. But man, I'll tell you, I think it's going to be up to the paranormal to save history again, because they're trying to change it on you folks. So hang on to it with both hands. Hang on to the facts. Don't let them take it away from you. Don't let them fool you with all these experts coming out and, oh, it's just every time. That's what it is. Yep. Hold on. Is that all you have? What are you basing that on? A lot of kids are listening to this. A lot of kids that are trying to learn the correct thing, in whatever. You don't want them putting out bad information. I mean, if you were a plumber, if you were an electrician, if you were an architect or a printer or whatever, and you had an apprentice, do you teach them all the wrong stuff? You teach them what you know to be correct and the best way to do things, and trying to pass along your wisdom, correct? However humble that may be of you, you're just trying to teach them the right way, just like you would teach a kid the right way. You don't raise your kid that, sky is green and grass is blue. Of course, by the time the kids today grow up, it may be. And I wish that was a joke. But, again, you decide. So, I just found that interesting, and I don't know whether it was more connected to the couple or the area, and I didn't know quite what vibes you guys were getting off of that whole story, but nonetheless, a wonderful story, So let me see. What's the song? What song are you singing? Song blue. Oh gosh, yeah, yep. Good stuff, man. I'm telling you. Sundown. That's another good one. You better take care if I find you've been creeping around my back stair. I could see I'm back in a faded jean. And then you listen and you hear why he wrote it, and who he was talking about at the time. And I sometimes I don't even want to know that, because I'd rather have what it was to me. And I think the biggest one on that one was probably Let It Be. And when I realized I didn't, do you need to know what inspired the writer to the song, and does that help you understand the song? Or if you have a song that's really touches you in a lot of different ways, do you want to know, because sometimes it can ruin it for you. And I think that's what they meant when they said video killed the radio star, because it put their visuals in your mind instead of allowing you to have it yourself. Just like a good novel, a good writer take you right in, right up to the thing, but let your imagination put yourself over the edge. Free will, let the fear you can see in your mind that you created out of what you can hear or what you're imagining. It's a lot stronger, and it's smart. But anyway, that was a good one, and I loved it because they don't, if you notice, they don't force, that show doesn't force their opinion on it. They'll suggest some things, or they'll say experts say, or our experts say, or might be a psychiatrist or a paranormal, a parapsychologist, whatever it may be, and they'll put in a little bit of a suggestion, more or less. It's not really it's demons, just obvious. Guy's having a bad day, and the demons they're just attracted to it. I'm telling you, don't have a bad day, because the demons, this is what they're asking you to believe. Not what happened there. What's going on with the guy? Did the guy invite it? Did he play with somebody? He's trying to summon stuff. Has he got pentagrams in his basement? What's the story? There's more to it. You can't just go throwing out these accusations and stuff, because again, I care about people trying to learn, especially the young people coming into the paranormal, and on top of that, having abilities, trying to understand those, trying to find the right track, trying to find, they're kind of on the interstate of the paranormal. And they're going, okay, I'm riding on this road and I don't know what exit to take, stop at a couple rest stops, talk to a couple chill people, get their information, see who I resonate, who I vibrate with, try that, but, don't sign any papers. I'd rather see someone that's struggling to find a way, find a pleasant path to understanding their own abilities and their own powers and their own wisdoms, and gather a little bit here. Put this in your pocket. You might understand, for later. It might not, be something you want now, or whatever. Just make a note, put it in your bag. Who knows? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, you might pull it out and go, what? Whoa. I see it so differently now. Raise your hand. How many times that's happened to you? How many people here has had that happen to you? You heard so much stuff when you were younger, especially when you were just feeling your oats and you were out there trying to figure out who you were. And, you know, a lot of us still doing that decades and decades later. But, you know, doing all that and you think you had all that, and then all of a sudden you went, whoa, you know, they were right. That person was right. Dad was right. Mom was right. Uncle, aunt, brother, drill sergeant, whatever, teacher, professor, person. Or that thing you thought was absolutely crazy turned out, whoa, that was gold, you know. And I think those things are in the paranormal too, but we can't see them because they keep covering it up with dirt, keep covering it up with mud and time and dust and apathy and neglect and exploit, you know, for how many different reasons. Yeah. Sarah, what happened? Oh. Well, that crap day is over right now. Just right now, because we're about to dig into another ghost story, and it's just, this is the way I look at it. These people, these individuals that at this moment in time of this story turned out to be ghosts. A lot of them got out of it. A lot of them, I hope, got out of it and found their way and sorted their way through. And all of this combined with all of these people that were living, that are having these experiences, all of those things tells me not only are we so connected, and not only are we all really responsible for sending out good waves towards each other and compliments. I think that's why we feel so good when we give a compliment as well as get one, or a hug. It's almost like a verbal hug. Hey, wow, that's really good color. You know, that looks about that, you know, that blouse or whatever. Insert your thing here. You know, that really, boy, that sets right off. Or, gosh, you know, your hair looks good today. You know, how many times have we pulled one of those out of our pocket just to try to make, not that we don't mean it, but we make an extra effort to throw it out there because we just figure, you know what, I'm going to try to throw some positive arrows out here into this environment, wherever the hell it is I just walked into, because I know it works better than going and just dredging through, because it just clings to you like static lint, you know, paranormal, psychic, you know, lint, you know, that just messes up, like those chiggers you get when you, not chiggers, but what are those things, those thorny things, those little spurs that, you know, catch on you if you go through the long grass or whatever, it sticks to your pant legs. It's kind of like that. Just a lot of negative stuff that just sticks to you. And some of it belongs to this person or that person, or is stuck in the air in a building or in a place you're at, or it's in the ground, or people are putting it into your head through things you're listening to. If whatever's going on around you is draining you, try to get away from it. If you can't, rebuke it. And that goes in the paranormal too. I believe. My opinion. Hey, I believe. My opinion. Because if we don't, we're kind of doing the same thing as a lot of people pick a conspiracy. You know, in a, like I said earlier, with Jim Mars thinking, oh gosh, they put that. It's a good movie, and he's got nothing against the actors, but my gosh, everybody's just going to remember Single Shooter again. We're back 50 years. We just put the whole thing back. You know, it's as detrimental to the truth as the museum on, you know, in the book depository up there, that, you know, spent all this time setting up, you know, basically lying to people, and people just eat it. Just, yep, next thing. And again, that goes into paranormal too, because if you have a show, why can't you just do it, you know, instead of putting the sensationalism out there and the over dramatization, do it like these guys are doing it, right? My opinion. I think they would last longer, and they would do better in the long run than just going for the you know, the flash and grab with, you know, the over, you know, the jump scares and the, you know, things that are standing behind people that this person isn't even saying. You know, somebody could be standing, usually in the bathroom, looking in a mirror or whatever, brushing their teeth, and the person telling the story that they're reenacting is saying, I felt a little funny. And all of a sudden you got this blue demon with these big old horns breathing down this guy's neck that this guy never mentioned. And here's the thing, it's also adding to the they're desensitizing people. And again, look back at the younger people just getting into this. They're used to watching American Horror Story and, all this other stuff, and zombies getting their heads blown off every 5 minutes, 24/7 on it, 50 different channels. It's different than when we grew up with, Ernest T. Bass on Mayberry, holding off a whole town with a bucket of rocks, and the town giving a crap about him enough not to hit him back and sort him out and be a friend. Maybe lock him down in the jail with the town drunk overnight and feed him Aunt Bee's chicken. I don't know, an apple pie for sure. But what happened to that? And why are we still letting people tell us on these high-end shows all this? It's like they're flicking it at us. I was just watching Richard Sennett again. Love the man. He's still highly active in giving ghost tours and writing books and doing all kind and investigating. God bless him. Out there in Massachusetts, by around where Steve Stockton is. Look him up. Please do. Support him. Get on his social media. Give him a thumbs up, because this man's been doing it for a long time. Yeah, he was doing it for a long time when I was watching him when I was young. And he's done an amazing amount of things for the paranormal and EVPs and history and keeping history alive, and working towards keeping historical sites opened and getting the truth out there. Go support a couple of people like that, and let's let people know that the truth means something to us, and it means something to the young people coming up into the paranormal, because not every board that creaks is saying get out. Okay, so here's another one. I'll shut up. Another good story. I can find it again. I love these. The extraordinary. Warwick Moss, everybody, who orders his shakes, according to somebody in the comments. I love this comment. Read the comments sometimes, folks. They're golden. There's your people out there. That's humanity. Go read the comments in YouTube videos. Just saying. And I guess it all depends on what you watch. But anyway, girl got in there. She said, I swear, this is the story is true. She says, this is her. And she says, I once had to work a summer at a stand at, some beach, in a very popular beach. I'm sorry, Australia, I don't know. But a popular beach that she said it like you would know it if you heard it and you're Australian. So she said one summer, here comes this man, and he comes up to the stand, and she was in the situation where the open window was a little higher up, so she kind of looked down on everybody. And as the public came up to order their ice cream cone, and Warwick Moss comes up wearing a red Speedo, and she says, my hand to God, this is true. Hey, Tennessee, Kentucky, welcome in. She says, my hand, I promise you this is true. He orders a milkshake, and when she asks him what kind, he says, strawberry. The way Warwick Moss would, she said it was just absolutely wonderful. She said it was the best part of her summer, which was also kind of sad. So here's this. Let's finish, everybody.
Wildlands set out to make a video clip of their new song. Nothing unusual about that. But when they looked at the film and the edit suite, there was an unknown figure in the background. A figure with a severed head. With the fast edits, the switches from colour to black and white, It's not something you'd pick up watching a video hit show at home on television. But slow one particular image down and enhance it and see what happens. There in the background is a figure, a human figure, a figure without a face.
It is a person. It's definitely a human being, but we find that there's no... I've had looked at it closer since then, and there's no image on the face. I mean, I'm not one for getting into ghost stories, so to speak, but this has left quite an impression as to why this would appear in this particular instance.
Martin Lee was one of the cameramen on location that day, back in 1990. He actually shot the scene in question. But he's as baffled now as he was when he first noticed the figure, when the clip was being edited 4 years ago.
I had no explanation for it because it was not there when I shot it. It's quite, it's very haunting.
Even more haunting when he tells you there were no strangers at the location that afternoon, and every single member of the crew was accounted for. As well, Martin Lee is certain there was nothing, no one there when he shot the film.
I have no doubts that if the person had been in shot, I would have picked them up straight away.
But how could a figure appear in the background of a film shoot without anyone knowing it was there? None of the crew noticed anything untoward at the time. Could it have something to do with the dark and turbulent past of this historical part of Australia? The place is called Glen Davis, and it's just outside Lithgow in western New South Wales. And no one knows it better than Leonie Knapman, who grew up here and is writing a book about the rise and fall of her old hometown.
We had no electricity, so therefore no lights, and we had no fridge. Our food was kept down the well or the bottles tied on a string in the creek. And we made our own entertainment. I mean, we walked the mountains. We had no Christmas tree like people usually do. We had a gum tree. You made your own decorations. We had no shops. So it was a very simple life.
Glen Davis sprang to life during the Second World War, when the Australian government of the day decided the country needed to produce its own petrol. There were abundant shale deposits nearby, and these were mined, then refined into fuel. For the workers, it was tough, dangerous, even deadly.
There were two that were burnt when gas blew back, and they were taken to hospital and died later. Another man was crushed underneath the retorts. So there were lots of fatalities in that early period. So a lot of the men paid dearly for establishing this industry.
But this was an industry that was to be short-lived. By the early 50s, the plant was closed. The townsfolk began to disperse, and Glen Davis degenerated into a ghost town. And a ghost town was what Martin Lee found when he arrived to film that video clip in 1990.
A most desolate place, a haunting place, perfect place to shoot rock clips, no doubt about it. I'd love to go back there again and do some more, but on reflection back, yes, it had some sort of atmosphere that was quite unexplainable.
Almost as unexplainable as the faceless figure who appeared in the finished film clip.
The top 40 exposure the other week seemed to have...
Chris Moss from Sony Music was the man who marketed the band and the clip Wildland. He wasn't there for the shoot, but he remembers vividly the first time he heard about the mysterious unpaid extra lurking in the background at Glen Davis.
One of the members of the band, Noel, virtually came flying in over the telephone and said, "You just wouldn't believe what's happened here. We've discovered there's a figure on film that basically nobody can account for on the day of the shoot. You know, in real terms, we think that there's a ghost on the video.
A ghost in dark clothing, possibly wearing an overcoat. A ghost without a face.
The response from everybody was one of absolute skepticism. You know, "Oh, no, you're wrong, it's like a watermark on the film, or it was somebody that was standing there. It was a shadow that was thrown, it was the way that the sun came over, it was, I mean, any one of 1,000 things that everybody came up with, because nobody was prepared to actually just say, well, it's a ghost." We then took it out to the television shows and played it to the producers and directors out there and threw down the challenge, and they pretty much came back with the same answer as we did, which was, there is no answer. Nobody knew what it was.
Leonie Knapman, the Glenn Davis historian, actually helped the producers choose the site where the clip was filmed. And she took us back to the exact spot the other day. Leonie, too, is mystified by the ghostly guest appearance. But she does have her theories.
At first I thought maybe somebody had come down off the mountain just to watch the filming. But when you watch the video and you watch the figure, there does not appear to be a face. It's very unclear. And so you wonder about the deaths that occurred in the area. Whilst nobody actually died in the powerhouse, one of the workers did die upstream, and his body was washed down into the bend of the river just over from this location. One of the others to die was actually in the retort area, and his head was almost severed in a very bad accident, and he died later in hospital. So who knows, it could explain the face that's missing from the figure.
Maybe. But there's one more twist to this ghostly tale. Enhance the video image even more, and you may see that not only is the figure faceless, at times the head looks as though it is severed from the body.
There she is. Ain't she pretty? Let's talk about that last one real quick before we show Ghost Diver. I just start seeing these ghosts, even though I worked with this and edited, you know, like I said, I spent a lot of time with all of these overlays and have to work with them. She's something else. She just creeps me out. There's some that are funny, and there's some that are just, they're neat because of the way they're, you know, they're made. It just amazes me what we're able to do now with CGI. I'll tell you what, I don't know. Have you guys seen the whales in Dubai? Have you guys seen this? Who knows what I'm talking about? The whales in Dubai. Who knows what I'm talking about? Has nothing to do with the ghost. Well, it could have something to do with ghosts, but it's a stretch. You got to want it. But who's seen them? I know there's a delay, so I'll wait. I was going to say put on some hold music, but you know me, I'll get caught up and we'll wind up with an intermission. Anybody you got something? No? Okay, we'll move on. All right, so these ghosts anyway, working with them, some of them are scarier than others, and some of them are just adorable, like the little ghost with the flashlight. That's funny. You know, you don't know. Cat saying she doesn't know. So this last one, I like the way they give you a couple options, and they don't kind of say this is the way it is, and we're going to feed you this. You know, this is this person. This is this person. I like it a little more, and I was glad to find it, because with all the TikToks and the reels and the shorts and all that, whatever you call these things that come up, and people are doing a TikTok or they're doing gaming or something live, and they catch something behind them. And I can't tell you how many times um, I've seen one of those, and the people are acting really, like they didn't know, this isn't planned. They're reacting the way you would imagine somebody would react to see something like that live, or to be told afterwards and come back and go, I didn't see it at the time, blah blah blah. You know the gig, right? And I've sat there and I've seen some of these ghost gifts or B-roll or footage or things that are available out there that you can get from, if you've got a buy a license, you get footage from things. You hear people that have channels talk about this all the time. Where to grab, pictures that you can use and things like that. So it's all the same. So anyway, you get used to seeing this stuff. So when I see it, I go, I know exactly what that is. I've worked with that. They've stretched it out and they've, made it a little more transparent, and they've done some good timing on moving whatever it is they were trying to say, pushed it, whatever. But I know that GIF. I know this is a fake. Doesn't matter how the people are acting. They might not know it's a fake, but I've seen it. And you guys probably do that too with what you're familiar with. You could call it out like this, I know that guy's pulling this off, or this one's pulling this trick, or, this is CGI. But how do you now know with all the deep fakes and the AI, and it's just that it's moving so fast. It's almost hard to keep it's like a kite that's caught in a, massive storm at this point. And I think storm's just getting started. But how do you hold on to the string on that kite, man? At some point, you got to be careful how you hold it to get burnt, Think about it. I mean, so many changes. So how do you know what you're seeing? What do you rely on as an investigator, as someone who's interested, somebody who just likes to listen to ghost stories, somebody who likes to solve mysteries, mysteries with clues and escape rooms and things like that? What do you count on? If you were at a seance, what would you run your, how would you determine? Would you run it through your filters, the ones that you have through time learned to trust as an individual? Because it's different for everybody. Might be some similarities, or somebody, just like everything else. It's really up to the individual and how you filter that. And if you think about, psychics and mediums and other people that have abilities, we're learning about a lot here. We just talked about the direct voice trance medium. I mean, the direct voice medium and a trance medium, and trying to see how all that works, right? So how do you know what you're seeing, or what you're hearing, or in the news you're hearing, or the person you're hearing that news from? Some very important news. Might affect you in a lot of different ways. May not affect you at all. It may affect somebody else, or affect the future, or change something. How do you discern that information? Is it similar to how you go at the paranormal, or how you go at this, or just like I said, a mystery story, or something else? We've been trying to get into doing the solving the mystery games, where you can have like 3 or 4 people, and it might take one sitting, or you might take a couple of different sittings where you're solving the murder. I think it's neat. My sister actually worked at a place that did dinner theater. So it was dinner and a murder, and they included the people in the room in the mystery. A couple of people were slipped, here, you do this at this time, and this is your part, and that kind of thing. They might have had a hat or whatever, along with the actors. Very cool. How do you know what you're seeing? What filters do you run it through in your daily life? Are you noticing, as a light worker, are there people here that are noticing that they're seeing faster through the veil of people and their BS, their vibration? They're telling you a story, you see it. You're seeing, wow, I'm looking at this video. How do I know it's even what they're saying it is? How do I know that it's not this or that? Prove my point here. Let me see if I can find it. Stick with me. Like I said, I was asking to see if anybody knew what I was talking about, the whales. There we go. Thank you. It's similar, Tennessee. Thank you. But similar. I'll see if I can find it. If we can find it, we'll see it. But I'm pushing buttons, so I'm going slow. But give me a second here. I can get it. Dude, somebody start a song. Vixen, I turn to you. Pull up a Gordon Lightfoot or something, like do Sundown or what was his other one? You could do Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog. I bet I'll find it. I just want to find a good one. Yeah, that's one of them. There it is. Okay. Pull this up. Wait. Get it up on full screen. Maybe. Nope. Go back. Abort. Okay, I'm back. Hang on there, guys. It's worth it. Whoops, wait a minute. Wrong thing. Ted, you might want to put up the seatbelt sign. Put on your seatbelts, everybody. Turn on the light, Ted. No telling what's going to happen on the roller coaster here. Okay, here we go. I think I did it. All right, here we go. Take a gander at this and tell me if you believe what you're seeing.
Oh my goodness. This is the most amazing thing that I'm seeing right now. Just look at it.
This is absolutely incredible. And you're standing there and it's going right above your head. This is not the only one. There's been in Tokyo and Hong Kong, dragons wrapped around a large building, very much like, with the restaurant with all the windows at the very top, and this dragon's going around. You see it from the inside and the outside, from the street looking up and from the restaurant looking out. What are you seeing? What are you looking at? So what are you counting on when you hear these stories, when you hear ghost stories, when you hear paranormal investigators coming back with evidence, when you hear people tell their story of their sabe, they bumped into a Bigfoot, or dog man or whatever? What do you use? Where's your bullshit meter at? And what filters do you use for that? Because we say that and we kind of flip it because it sounds funny and it, but think about it. Has that been honed over the past few years? Is it getting sharper? Do you feel like you're understanding things a little bit more, or kind of things you thought maybe 10 years ago were going to be so important really don't seem that important anymore? It's shifted to something else and you're kind of like feeling like you got to pick a lane and you're kind of happy in the lane you're in, but you notice that a lot of the things have shed away from you. Might be family, it might be friends, it might be office workers, it might be job change, it might be 1,000 different things, moving, friends that you were kind of at, 5-6 years ago, maybe you're just like, oh, that's uncomfortable. Now something happened, something shifted. This is what I mean. Not so much on the person or you, but all of that's happening to so many people. And the reason I'm making such a big deal out of this and pointing it out to you is because so many people here are of that walk of life where they're interested in decoding these things for whatever reasons: true crime, conspiracy, paranormal, supernatural, insert here, right? Because it's all similar. You all use the same stuff to sort it, right? You use that in real life and that's getting sharper. and you're starting to deflect that stuff, and it's getting easier to keep as much crap is going on. Tell me I'm lying right now, live here. Tell me now that it doesn't seem like it's getting just a little bit easier to keep the lights on, because it seems to take it's almost like it's took on a bigger life, or a bigger connection, or bigger knowing, or an understanding. And that's not really you. It's what I'm talking about is the light, and you're almost connecting into it more. And those things that you're not so much pulling away from others or other things, or things that you distracted from, and sorting through those things faster, because the veil is thinning, and the perception is changing, and the consciousness is kind of shifting. Yeah. It's not so much you're pulling away from them. It's almost like that your vibration, the vibration is different, and it's so different that it's almost repelling just on the energy in your living world. Now think about this in the paranormal world. Think about this from the other side perspective. Think about all those conversations we heard from the direct voice medium, right? You ran that through your filters, okay? We heard them come in, if it was their first time, staggering and stuttering to find that voice, to remember how they sounded. We heard several of them come forth and say the first thing that was on their mind was the trauma they just went through. Maybe I think Fred was accused of causing his own death because he was not paying attention, or made a mistake, or did something along those lines. And it was very important to him to put that forth first, to say, no, it was their fault. It was an accident. I would never allow that to happen. They blame me. They blame me. I had a personal, very close loved one that similar happened, where for years, decades, I heard people trying to tell me that this person did such and such. And I was always getting from my side, through my filters, that's not the way it went down. But of course, just like so many of us, the others won't listen, or you're the crazy one. Okay, crazy maybe, but not necessarily wrong. But it seemed that I'm mentioning this because of the importance, the things that they keep forth in front of them first, the first things that come out. Whereas the ones that were used to coming in had been there 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and used to that little journey, that little pathway, the energy had it a little easier. And, so much so that they recognize the voice before the person even, announced themselves, or for whatever reason. They knew the voice, they knew the energy. So if it's true that ghosts are drawn to a situation, to a person, because of the energy, much like that lady, I believe if she was given more time, in her defense, and she could expand on her thoughts, and perhaps her opinion and her theory was chopped up and taken somewhat out of context, and perhaps she, and I'm sure she didn't have a choice to put expert underneath her name right away, putting kind of the spotlight on her. She's just making a suggestion that, yes, it's been known that 3 scratches could mean that. But let's not jump to conclusions. It could mean many other things. I mean, look at your own hand when you scratch. Hey, pay attention to me, and you miss. That could be 3 scratches from somebody just trying to get your attention. It could be a many things. Let's see what it could be, and then we start bringing in all the stuff, because, there wasn't too many times that people, although a made up character, a brilliant one, Sherlock Holmes, the common sense that it made, I don't think so many times he went, I don't want to see any of that evidence. None of this makes any difference. I'm focused on this. And I don't want to know any more facts. And for Pete's sakes, lie to me. how far are we going to get, if we allow that? And again, I think it should be taken more seriously. But I also think that, my gosh, if there's talented people out there, I know Michael Laciano is one of them, and he's producing his own show. It's called Journey to the Past, I think, or Through the Past. It's on Amazon Prime, I believe. Look it up. I'm sure it'll pop up. And it's wonderfully done. He did it himself with a few friends, really good friends. And it's based more on the paranormal and the history, and maybe even the history first and the paranormal along with it. And it's not about the group doing the investigation. It's about the place and the people and the town it may be in. Very interesting, wonderfully done. But that's the thing, because if all these other shows are working, these wonderful shows like Ghostly Encounters, the structure of that, it's such a wonderful teaching tool. And I don't want to lose that. And, so by all means, get together, start your own thing. My gosh, you can do so much with the camera and the YouTube channel now. Somebody, put together a show where they just come out and they tell the truth like this, or, some of the other ones we were talking about, but look at again, what are you going to believe? Look at these whales. Look at these holograms. Look at these deep fakes. Look at this AI. The only way you're going to get through, I think, the next couple of decades is on going back to the basics and counting on those filters. So, do your psychic push-ups, everybody, for whatever that means for you. I'm just saying, light workers, we're going to need them, but we've been training all our lives. So there's that. You just keep sharp and keep those tools sharp. That's all. All right, so here's the next one. I think this was pretty good. Is this the one? I think it is. But I just love this this little hologram. Let me fix this. I just messed it up. That's incredible, isn't it? How many people have seen these holograms before? It's insane, right? Yeah, here it is. Let's get it up here.
Have voice contact with
1 second. I want you to miss it. There she is. All right. Yeah, the headless ghost showing up in these videos. Again, run it through your filters. What does that tell you? Do you think it's the guy that was hurt? Or do you think it's somebody following the band? Do you think somebody just walking by, getting, the energy?
useless. At
Who knows,
times,
right?
The head looks as though it is severed from the body.
Who knows? You got to consider it all. Here she is. She's amazing. This is a nice story. That's good. Where'd she go?
The extraordinary.
Yeah.
Eric Buchanan is one of Australia's most experienced professional divers. He's been diving in Sydney Harbour for almost half a century. He knows all its tricks and treacheries. But there was one one day, almost 30 years ago, that he'll never be able to forget. That day, he was working about 40 feet below the surface on the bottom of Sydney Harbour. New cables were being laid, and Eric's job was to inspect them, to make certain everything was going according to plan. He was decked out in a cumbersome hard hat and a bulky diving suit. He was alone down there, but he did have voice contact with a boat above. Today, he recounts what happened in his own down-to-earth, laconic way. But back then, 30 years ago, it was a frightening experience.
Anyhow, I felt, a thump on the cable I was standing on, and I said, "Who's down here with me?" And they said, "Nobody." And I said, "There must be somebody down here because I can feel them walking up the cable." And they said, "No, there's no one down there with you." By this time, the object had got off the cables, walked across the cables, and was going up the western side of the trench. The sun was shining brightly in the water, and there was a perfect silhouette of a hard-hat diver climbing up out of the trench into the sun and just kept going. So I got out and everyone had a great laugh about it, said I'd been down there too long and, you know, I was seeing things, and I said, well, you know, he was there.
Initially, Eric Buchanan thought there just had to be another diver down below. A real one, flesh and blood. But from all his experience, Eric knew if there had been another hard-hat diver working the harbour, that diver would definitely have needed a backup boat.
But there was no boat and no chance for a diver being down there, a hard-hat diver.
And that's definitely beyond doubt. We've spoken to another diver who was on the boat that day, and he confirms that there were no other boats in the area, no other divers down below. He also vividly remembers Eric Buchanan bursting to the surface and shouting that he'd seen a ghost.
The underwater mystery played on Eric Buchanan's mind. He went over the eerie scene time and time again, and one by one, he discounted all the logical explanations.
There was no mud cloud. If I had walked across there, there'd been a great cloud of mud, but there was no mud cloud. There was no hose to the surface, and there was no air bubbles. A hard-hat diver has a constant stream of air bubbles.
But that wasn't the end of the mystery. The day after Eric Buchanan saw the phantom diver, one of his colleagues working in the same place saw the same thing, and it scared the wits out of him.
The diver down there came rushing to the top, and he said, I just saw a diver walk past, a hard-hat diver walk past.
2 sightings of a mysterious diver deep beneath the harbour. A diver who couldn't possibly have been there. Who or what was it? According to Eric Buchanan, perhaps the answer lies back in the 1920s and 30s, when the magnificent Sydney Harbour Bridge was under construction.
I found out that a diver, a hard-hat diver, had been killed building the bridge. Now, I don't know whether they ever recovered the body or not, but as far as I'm concerned, he's still down there walking around.
You got to give her credit. She's all in. You know what I mean? All right. So underwater ghosts, extra creepy. I don't know if anybody saw The Lake. Who was in it? Judd Nelson, I think. Judd Nelson, and I think, was it The Lake? He was a serial killer. Don't watch it if you hadn't seen it, because you'll never get that visual. And there's all these bodies under the lake, and of course they have them all, you know, in different. They're floating. You know, it's terrible. But it's always creepy to think about. But here's the thing. I want to tell you this story. It's good. So let me take this down real quick. So one of these shows, and again, this matches up kind of a little bit like I was telling you before. Watching these shows, it just kept coming up because I was busy. I was doing stuff, and it was playing kind of in the background. And I was catching it. And, you know, sometimes I'd stop and really pay attention to another one. But again, it's annoying me that they were over dramatizing and over emphasizing things that this witnesses weren't even saying. So I started thinking about all this and the different stuff that popped up. So one of the stories was this, and it was cool because I liked the format of this one, and although I'd have to say it fit the description I just gave, the story itself and the way the two young men that experienced it told the story, overrode all of it. It was really, really good. So in a nutshell, what it is, and it's unpleasant as all get out, but I'll do my best to just skim over that part. If you're squeamish in any way, or you need to, go to the lobby and get a hot dog, or, refill your king size popcorn or something, you might want to do it now, because, there's no way to tell this story without being squeamish. So, I mean, without being, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, two young men are telling the story, and very well, and their job is to collect for the medical examiner. They go and collect the bodies and bring them to wherever they're going, whether they're going to the funeral home or whether they're going wherever. They're going to pick it up. When it's cleared in this town, in this county, these are the dudes that, you call. So, body is found, a missing man. I don't know too much of the backstory of how he got in his predicament, but he most certainly had. And he had been in the water for a while. And unfortunately, um, passed. And I don't know how long. They said days. It was long enough. And I'm not really up on my... It seems so awful to talk about this stuff, but if you know it, you know what I'm talking about. It's just horrible. Bodies in water, what happens to them, the way they absorb, it's nasty, but it's true. So it has something to do with the story, or wouldn't even bother bringing it up. So they pick up this body. The body's in a body bag. They bring the unfortunate dead person, put them in the back of the van, and the whole time they're talking to each other as they're driving, and they're wearing these protective masks that are very much like almost a smaller version of what you would assume, like somebody that was a bug spray, or somebody that was doing that kind of thing would wear, and driving, and goggles and stuff. So some protective gear. And they're complaining about it, the absolute stench of the situation that they're in, because this poor person had been, and their body is just in a horrible condition. And they're complaining about the stench, and their eyes watering. And despite everything that they've tried, they've got to get this person to where, they're dedicated to their job. So on and on they go, and they're complaining about little things, and things are hearing in the back, like, what is that? Something loose back there? It's like, oh no, and it's bad weather. It's snowing. I believe there's somewhat of a slight blizzard kicking up, or, happened at the time, that the bridge ahead is closed and traffic is being stopped and turned back. And there's barricades and, cops telling them, you can't go any further. So they're stuck with this body. What are you going to do? So they literally say they have to take it back to their office. Now, in their office is not set up for anything like this. It's just like a way station. It's just a place where they sit, where they get their calls, basically. And it's not funny, but the way they're acting about it, it's just, they're trying to get, it's so bad. The smell is so overwhelming, and they're trying to do their duty, but they're having a very hard time. And when they open the doors, after they've figured that they have to put it, at least store it for a time. They can't leave it. It's against the law for them to leave it in the car locked up. They have to take it where they are. They cannot be within a certain amount away of feet by law and their oath, whatever, away from this body. So they have to take it inside. And again, I said the office is not equipped. This is an off thing. So to make matters worse, when they open the doors, there is a rush of foul liquid that comes with it, because this poor thing has now, for lack of a better term, burst. Horrible. And now they're, you know, and they hang in there, and God bless them. They take the body inside. Now they're trying to find where to put it. They put it in the janitor's closet, of course. I find myself, I'm watching this, and I'm happy for them that they found a spot, and they found a place with a drain, which I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is, they can lock the door, because this is an awful, awful situation to be in. Can you imagine? And they're probably, less than minimum wage. God's honest truth. People like this get nothing. Why are they doing this? So they've been feeling eerie, and both of them, and not just one. And again, both self-proclaimed skeptics for the next 10 minutes. So they put the guy in there. He's in the body bag. They close the door. They even stuffed towels under the door. Keep the smell, it's just true, in the room as best they can. They go in, they're playing cards, whatever. They're riding out the storm. They're waiting for the call. Bridge is open. We get out of here. And we go finish our task, and we're out. We're home. It's taking a long time. And they're hearing things. And the guy keeps going to check it out. And they did that, that paranormal walk down the hallway, trying to, what's that, following the sound. He goes, the door's open, the towels are moved. What? He's hearing stuff. What is that? He's hearing muffled conversation, or at least muffled voices. Let's say muffled voices. I don't know if he would say conversation. He gets up down the hallway up to, very slowly, inching his way toward the janitor's closet, where you can see the towels are pushed away and moved. There's only 2 people in this building. It's like 2:00 in the morning for these 2, probably less than minimum wage, poor guys, He gets up to the door, and yes, the door's open. He looks, and the way they had set the body, they actually put him on the floor. They didn't have the gurney, whatever. Put him on the floor, sitting up shut. Well, now it's open, and the front of the whole body bag is hanging open, and now its eyes are open. The door was open, the towels were moved, and this guy can hear voices. He freaks out. He tells his friend, come see, the other dude. He comes running reluctantly, his flashlight, did you unzip it? They do that whole thing. Did you do it? There's nobody else here. Oh my God, what's going on? We're freaking out. They're explaining the fact that these are heavy zippers. It's not easy to do. Obviously, there's something paranormal going on here, or there's somebody hiding somewhere in the place they don't know of. These are your choices. Because, or they're just outright lying. I guess choice number C. It's all a lie. So they go back, they're playing cards, they zip them back up, they close the door, they put the towels, they go down the thing, they talk, and they go outside to smoke a cigarette, whatever it is. They do a shot, I don't know. And they come back, they're playing, it starts up again. Now they're both hearing it. Now they go back, what? No way. And they go and they see this dude kind of standing at the end of the hall, all kind of glow, almost full body apparition. Some, I don't know if they were, doing this as accurate, the visual as accurate as what they were describing, but I think I do remember one guy saying the whole guy standing there, because when he turned around, they knew it was him. And he just comes like, the whole energy just kind of flew at him. Of course, they go outside. They can't leave. They are bound by whatever. It's a felony, I think they're saying, where they were, for them to leave this body. They're stuck. Now, multiple other things happen to these guys in this other one. And, again, they're going back. And basically, they're saying it's running at them. And then going past them, or whatever it is it's doing, flying up and disappearing into the ceiling, whatever. And then coming back and doing it again, or showing up someplace else the whole night until they got the call. They were so grateful that they could take them out of there and didn't have any problem, right? When they dropped them off, He goes to leave. His partner goes. He's out there, and I think it's one of the ladies that kind of he passed signed the body off to. She's one of the team. She comes out, and they go to get into the vehicle, and it's followed him. Whole thing's shaking, stuff's flying around in the back, the IV bags are flying, bandages going everywhere, the doors are banging. She doesn't know from Adam what's going on. He looks at her, she looks at him, they both jump out. She goes around to the back, and he tells her, I think this is the ghost of the guy that we just brought in here. You went through all this stuff. He's angry. I don't know if he thinks I did it. I don't know what he thinks. And she says, okay, wait a minute. She said, he doesn't know. She knows stuff. So she basically just, nobody's missing a beat. And I hope it happened like this, because that would be so cool if people are at this understanding. That would be just awesome. And she just believes him right away. And she says, well, what he needs is prayer. Pray with me. They both hit their knee. And she does the prayer. And he's just there in agreement. And all of a sudden, it all starts to calm down. And they're praying for this guy. They don't even know he's a stranger. Praying for his soul. Praying for him to be calm. And just, we're sorry this happened to you. And these things. The whole thing settled down. The doors stopped banging. And all of a sudden, they both said, the doors open and everything just lifted. And I thought it was just so neat the way that story all went down, and the way everybody stuck to their thing, to their post, and they were forced to stay longer, and almost that the side effect of them having to stay longer, of course, maybe gave them a little bit more of an understanding, because you had two guys that in the beginning of this story said that they were skeptics, talking about deep stuff like, what if he thinks we're the guys who did this to him? What if he doesn't understand what happened and he's just stuck in the last memory of however he wound up in the water? And I thought it was very cool, and it gave me hope, I guess, for the paranormal community and humanity, that hopefully we are thinking, at least in some cases, at that level of understanding how much the energy connects. Because if you understand how energy connects with that, you understand how energy connects in your day, in your life, in your friendships, in your relationships, in your choices, in your understanding your connection with your spirit guides and your ancestors, and things that you need a strong connection with right now. I think that's important. But that was a very hopeful and wild story, I think I have one more here. You want one more? Or do you want to be done? One more short one, and then we're out. I know, me too, Renice. If you're getting unsubbed to channels, I'm constantly am too. You're not getting notifications. Go back out, unsub yourself, undo the notifications, and then go back in and do it again. I have to do it all the time. I have to do it here. I have to do it on Rumble. I've had to do it on several different places. But anyway, so it's not you. Sometimes it's an update. If it's an app, I can't speak for iPhone, but for Android, I can say that sometimes just updating YouTube stops that for a while. Sometimes it'll get to the point where you're in a live chat and you put a chat, you make a comment in that live chat and you load it. All of a sudden your chat just freezes. And you're kicked out, and you have to go back out. You have to watch whatever commercials they're going to show you till they open the gate and let you in, and you get to watch the show. But, and it happens every time. And a lot of times it seems to work to go in and try to update that app and see. So try there. That's the extent of my tech, because look who's talking. It's a hot mess express. So, okay. So I got one more.
What was it?
Wait a minute.
According to Eric Buchanan.
That's the end of that. Let me catch this. Is this it? Man, did I lose that? All right, hold a second, guys. I'll find it. We saw the diver. It's got to be on this end. Here we go. Scream in the Night. Ooh, it's a good one too. Okay, I think I got it.
Tremendously to think that what she had beliefs in before and couldn't exist.
What in the heck? Hold on, gang. There we go. There we go.
As the event you have just witnessed might appear, I should remind you that Bert Weston is a real man who was in this real room on that very real night on the 16th of May 1923.
Did we see this one? We didn't, did we?
Next morning.
We didn't see this one. This one's really cool too. Hold on, guys. We'll find it. Choo choo. I told you put the seatbelt sign on. Has everybody got their seatbelts? Here we go. Here we go. So hard to find this spot. Because what I'm seeing is different from what you guys are seeing. Good night. We didn't see any of this one. Okay, that's the Kangaroo Island. I'd rather you guys see this one. It's shorter and I think it's a better story. All right, here it is. This is so funny. Where's the start to this? Wish they had a better setup. Okay. There we go. Here we go. Woo!
Kangaroo Island is just off the South Australian coast. 4,500 square kilometres of pristine beauty. A place steeped in history.
This is the Southern Ocean. Down that way, the Antarctic. Over there, mainland Australia. It's rugged down here. A rocky island that at times is buffeted by ferocious seas and brutish winds. For sailors, Cape Willoughby has long been a welcome sight. It offered solace, confirmation of course, and safety. But for some, the lighthouse on those sharp cliffs is a dark and frightening place.
Songwriter Clive Daniels and his wife Robin have experienced the tranquility, the solitude, and the mystery of Cape Willoughby and its lighthouse, the first one built in South Australia in 1852.
If I could put it into words, this place is a poet's dream. It's one of fascination and the unknown.
Back in April 1993, the Daniels, along with members of their family and friends, were here for a weekend reunion. They had the Cape to themselves. Even the ranger was away. And from the very start, there were ominous signs that this was to be no ordinary holiday. The first member of the party to sense something strange was Clive's sister, Shirley Buckley.
I put my things on the bed and I really felt uncomfortable. It was really, really very cold. And I thought, I don't like it. There's a bad atmosphere in there. I didn't like it at all.
The first night passed peacefully enough, and Clive Daniels was getting down to the serious business of songwriting. By the second night, he knew exactly where and when he'd find his inspiration. Up in the old lighthouse at midnight.
It was a night just like this, cold, still, and crystal clear, that things started to change for Clive. What was to follow would almost literally scare he and his wife out of their wits.
It was all around me. It almost touched me, but when I reached out, I could feel it. It was a dry, icy cold chill. And as you reached into it, you could feel, you knew that something was there, believe me. You knew that it was watching you, yet you couldn't see it.
Icy cold. So cold, Clive could feel the shivers down his spine. The shivers of fear.
I thought for the first time in my life, it's time to go. I knew whatever it was in there didn't want me in there. So I put my guitar in the case and I felt my way down the steps. At the same time, with my right hand, I was trying to find the key to the lighthouse so I could get out there and lock it up and just leave. I felt uncomfortable there.
Darkness, strange noises, icy pockets of air, and not a soul to be seen. Was it the mind playing tricks, or was it something else?
Clive decided it was something else, something he couldn't explain. And as he locked up and left, the mystery of Cape Willoughby deepened. First, just as suddenly as it went out, his torch went on again. And then...
I looked back at the lighthouse and I could feel something was watching me almost from the top window. And it was... you could almost feel as though there's someone up there. It was really strange, you know, it's quite strange.
The eerie presence that Clive Daniels felt in the Cape Willoughby lighthouse chilled him. The appearance of a silhouette in the lighthouse window had unsettled him greatly. Was his mind playing tricks, or was this dark, brooding landscape home to a ghostly apparition? Perplexed and afraid, Clive returned to the room he was sharing with his wife Robin. He decided not to disturb her, but it seems that icy, ghostly presence had other ideas.
Shortly after, it must have been about half an hour after, my wife suddenly woke up and she sensed a presence in the room. And she said, "What's that?" And I could feel it too. It was almost that same sort of presence she had in the lighthouse. The sort of the eerie feeling that someone was watching you. Someone was there almost, you know. And I reached up into the air and just see if I could touch it. And it's strange. As soon as you lift your arm, it goes icy cold.
And I said, "Someone's in here," because it felt like someone was watching me, not like your little daughter coming in and saying, "Mum," you know, when you're asleep. It was like something bigger.
Just shortly after that,
They gave her the
shower.
Morticia Adams treatment, didn't they?
And
The light.
my wife commented to me about the shower running. She says, "Who would be having a shower so early in the morning?" I looked at my watch and it was 2:30 in the morning.
For 15 minutes, the shower continued. And when it eventually stopped, Robin decided to investigate.
I couldn't believe it. There was no mist, there was no steam, the floor was completely dry. No one had, the towels were all neat, the bath mat was still hanging and it was dry. And I came back to my husband and I said, there was no one in the bathroom.
That morning, the party assembled early for breakfast. Just after 5 o'clock, in fact.
When my husband came in, he was looking very white, very frightened, and a little bit confused.
And there were questions that had to be asked.
Hey, who's the keen one that got up at 2:30 in the morning and had a shower?
No one could answer that. Not one of them had been anywhere near the bathroom all night. Then, Clive's sister Shirley told them that during the night, she'd had the distinct impression that someone had entered her room.
The shape that I saw was a shape that was on the chair, and I thought this looks for all the world like there's somebody sitting there, you know, and so I thought, oh, I'm not sure about this, and I waited for the light to flash around the room again to have another look, and sure enough it was still there. And I thought, well, I don't know, it must be luggage or a backpack or something that was left on the chair from the night before. And I tried to convince
But at dawn, when Shirley checked, the backpack was nowhere near the chair. Stranger still, there was a trail of sand across the room. It hadn't been there the night before, and none of the group had been to the beach. Finally, there was one more thing, the one that finally sent the family packing.
We were all sitting around at a table, and all of a sudden the newspaper that was on the seat next to my wife, the pages started to turn over on their own, and there was no window open, no door, and my wife jumped about, must have been about a foot in the air.
We had to move because they were slightly they were fearful of what could have happened, and they couldn't explain the unexplained.
Robin and Clive Daniels did try. They discovered that Cape Willoughby Lighthouse looms above a boiling gorge called the Devil's Kitchen. Since records were first kept back in 1847, more than 40 ships have been lost at sea off the coast here. In most cases, sailors lost their lives. And at least one lighthouse keeper died on duty. His name was John Tapley, and he was found dead in the lantern room at 6 a.m. on January the 23rd, 1869. The Daniels now wonder whether John Tapley's still around, or whether the presence at Cape Willoughby is the ghost of a sailor who perished out at sea. Whatever the answer, none will ever satisfy Shirley Buckley.
I wouldn't go and stay the night there again, no. The daytime I'd go to visit because it was a beautiful place and I loved it, but definitely not at night.
And as for Clive Daniels, he did get to write those songs. The lyrics, though, don't offer any explanation for the icy mist, the footsteps, the noises, or anything else that happened that April night at Cape Willoughby.
We're all very sceptical, but it's changed our perspective in life tremendously, to think that what you had beliefs in before and couldn't exist, it does exist. It's out there, believe me.
Sorry. Had to do it. Ooh. So anyway, good stories. Got a couple more there, but I also have something else that's loading. That's what I was over here checking. And because I'm kind of trying to sort what Steve and I are going to do tomorrow night. Boo, Ted. So sorry about all those people that turned up your stuff. I was like, no, I got to do it. I can't give it to let it go halfway like that. So anyway, don't smack me. Well, you got to have a little scare now and then. It keeps you young, keeps you on your toes, It's like, boo. That's why we all do it. We love being scared. So, again, jump scares are one thing. I think that kind of was what I was saying earlier. Jump scares are one thing, and creepypastas and, different realms and different doorways and different exits off the paranormal highway for everybody. But I think those kind of scares are affect a whole different section of us and our brains and, our psyche and our consciousness and the whole thing. Because again, when we're looking at stuff, we're kind of seeing the next steps to it. What does this mean? Does this mean that there's an afterlife? Does this mean that there's more? Does this mean that, my loved ones are okay? My dog is fine. What does this mean? What I saw was real? Does it mean, the whales are CGI? Does it mean the whales are a hologram? Are there holograms that work like that? Are there I'm trying to be careful how I say this. Are there departments within conglomerates that have the abilities and the capabilities of pulling off something, say Project Bluebeam, you know, or 10,000 other ones we can name? And did they have the capabilities in what decade? You know, and when did we start hearing about it? Because if we started hearing about it, it was starting to leak out. They've been doing it. You know, is Bobby here? Bobby knows what I mean. So, what are you seeing now? You're seeing deep fakes. You know, your filters, your eyes tell you there's a little something off. You know, it sounds like them, but there's something off. It doesn't quite sound right. It sounds like their voice. It looks like this person's face. Thumbs up from Bobby. See? So, what are you using to discern, to break all that, to sort it in your mind? How are you getting through these days? How are you doing with the news? How are you doing with paranormal investigation? Because again, you're using all the same stuff, right? And at the same time, I think you're trying to keep your sanity because you're feeding another part of your brain. You're keeping yourself sharp. It's the same as, you know, playing chess, or like we said earlier, doing crossword puzzles or sorting out mysteries, you know, playing Clue, whatever, trivia, you know, anything you do to keep sharp. And I think it's so nice to be able to look back at some of these nostalgic, even though, say, in 1995, nostalgia, it is kind of. If you listen to during the week, and then we'll go, I'll say this piece. During the week, sometimes I get the chance to reach out and get a public domain radio show that might be in a theme of interest to this group. And I put it up, and if I have time, I put visuals with it. We have fun, you know. Sometimes I'll even have time to put up like the old pictures that go with the commercials we're talking about, because sometimes the commercials are left in these radio shows, and it's quite the thing, you know. And plus, the chat makes it, and it's some of the wonderful people that are in that are here tonight. So, anyway, that being said, it's not only we're there to sort the mystery or to find the clue, or, you know, whatever. We're also there to tap into an energy. And it's so funny how we say acquired taste or whatever, that it's deeper. It's, you know, if you get through the intro, if you get through the music and the vibe, and you come in here, and this beautiful energy, this light, this love, this genuine people around the globe that care about each other and wonder and worry when they don't see somebody for a while, you know. And people drift, people wander, they hop, skip, and a jump. It doesn't matter. They touch your lives for a brief moment in time, in the great scheme of things. And you think about them when they're not there anymore, or, you know, you see them in another place, or whatever. You're glad to see them. You genuinely care. And these are supposed to be total strangers that don't know each other, because there's, you know, on the other side of the world. But somehow the energy has drawn them here. And somehow how the energy has repelled others. We don't have problems in this chat, very rarely. And I think it's the same in the paranormal world, as far as ghosts being attracted to certain energy and ghosts being repelled by certain energy. And others that are experiencing that, looking at it with, you know, different consciousness, but I think those consciousness are starting to find each other. And I think it's happening in this realm and on the other side. And I wonder if you guys are seeing it too. So I'll save the next ones. We'll see what we're going to do tomorrow. I haven't really decided. You know, throw it in there with Steve, because like I said, sometimes we plan for stuff and it shifts, and we're supposed to be talking about something else. But we'll be here tomorrow, 8:00 Eastern, and hope you'll be there too. It's good to see y'all. I'm looking at all these wonderful names: Trusty Turnip and Lulu and Ted. You know I love you. How's Lord Connor? I've been watching how he's been zigzagging around, and he was all excited when the show started. It's the energy, man. You know, Spirit and Bucephus, they pick up on it too, and it's really cool. And I'm glad we can come in here and tap in and get that, hi, how you doing? It's kind of like Cheers, guys. You know, when you come in, you're sitting at the bar having a conversation. Somebody comes in, hey, Norm, you know. It's nice. It's nice. And I'm glad to be, proud to be a part of it. I'm just a person trying to find stuff to put up here and show you and tap in. I think tapping into a little of that nostalgia too not only gives you, you know, you don't want it to make you feel bad, like, wow, look at how things have changed. It's a tapping into, this is my foundation. This is where I come from. These are the things I believe in, you know, whatever it may be. Because I think you were drawn to those things as a kid. You know, I got lucky. I was telling somebody the other day, I got lucky. You know, I was in that latchkey kid coming up in the, when it was a new, you know, early 70s kind of thing. And the stuff that I was available to me on television, you know, you had a set of encyclopedias if you were lucky, and you had whatever was on TV, depending on how many channels you got, how good the antenna was, you know. So I did get to see weird stuff that, you know, gosh, you wouldn't even know if I mentioned it, like Father Knows Best and Hazel and, you know, Batman. And, you know, how corny was that when you look back at it now? But there was always a cliffhanger, but it was more of a morality thing too, just like Superman was. There was always a lesson or whatever, you know. And Opie got in trouble when he, you know, when he got out of hand, you know. So it's also tap back into those roots. So whatever those roots are for you, tap into that. I'm glad you come here and we could talk about this kind of stuff and tap into it again. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Little something on the way out, make you feel better and make you smile. And it's kind of tapping back into that nostalgia with some flashes of some faces you'll probably recognize. And I'll see you tomorrow. Keep your eyes, you know, out there for the truth. You know, don't let them lie to you, you know, because again, you don't know what you're seeing. You don't know if it's whales float. You don't know if it's a hologram. You don't know if it's Tupac on the stage. You know, what am I seeing? And how do I know what I'm seeing, what I'm looking at, and what they're telling me? It's going to be hard to discern, guys. It's going to be all up to going back to the old ways. Trust in your senses. Stay grounded. I love y'all. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.